Starry-eyed rumblings.
Helix Bane opens her eyes to the grisly interior of the spire. She half hoped that the whole spire itself would be trembling and shaking, bits of limbs falling from the walls, now that she had plundered its secrets. Alas, nothing had changed. The decor still that of limbs, still very much disorientating. The only addition being Helix Bane's growing sense of claustrophobia in this large, spacious room. Helix Bane looks over to check on Bay, with all the data sitting in Bay's brain. Killing Bay has dropped down the list of viable approaches to dealing with her. Keeping her alive, previously quite low on the list, is now a top priority. Bay currently seems to be suffering an episode of vertigo, one hand on her head, the other trying to steady herself. Helix Bane decides she'll feel much better away from the spire and starts moving towards the exit. Bay staggers, but follows behind. Helix Bane was right. Exiting the spire and being able to see the dark, endless void of the forge puts a spring back into both of their steps. And as quickly as they can, they leave the limbs of the spire behind them and enter a more familiar and more comfortable environment of the access tunnel that leads back to the ship. On the way, Helix Bane spots the faint blue glow of Axe, and while Bay takes time to retch, Helix Bane takes the opportunity to gesture for Axe to head back to the ship unnoticed. So far, Helix Bane can't see any ships on approach, which is a good sign. Not such a good sign is Bay's observation. I can no longer see the light of the ship. They must have arrived. Follow me. We'll head to the surveillance room, hopefully unnoticed. Helix Bane stops as she says this, to stare pointedly at Bay, who has been making ample noise. Bay strides past Helix Bane, seeming to take no notice, but quiets her movement. She does, however, risk enough noise to say, "If only your sight was as good as your hearing seems to be." They reach the surveillance room, with no signs of the newly arrived ship having disembarked any personnel. Helix Bane immediately begins to flick through the cameras that are still functioning. Bay's gaze also fixes on the screen. There, 2 people. Helix Bane flicks back, and this time also spots the 2 figures. The 2 gentlemen, one plain, the other with an oversized head. Looks like they're heading to the airlock on the 2nd floor. Let's get running. Helix Bane is already out the room, sprinting towards the 2nd floor. Once again, with options. Follow them unseen, or interrogate them. As she closes in on the 2nd floor airlock, she slows her pace. She peers silently around the corner and spots both gentlemen walking through the corridor just ahead. She slips around the corner and begins to follow. She also begins to shift. Black tendrils reach out of each of her stretched paws and crawls along her skin like hundreds of serpents, slithering, covering her whole body till she is nothing but a black void walking. The serpents begin to bite into her, pull and tug, forcefully rearranging. now looking like a writhing mass of void black worms. The writhing mass then alters its surface to match that of its surroundings. Now camouflaged, Helix Bane follows through the airlock, through the new access tunnel, and onto the newly arrived ship. Neither of the two gentlemen stopped to observe the newly arrived ship's exterior through the access tunnel screen. But Helix Bane does. The newly arrived ship is gigantic in size, dwarfing the research vessel completely. Coated black as the void. She realizes now Bay's earlier comment. She obviously saw the ship with a heightened perception. However, Helix Bane hadn't seen the void black ship set against the void black of the forge. This close, Helix Bane notices that the ship is showing signs of recent damage. Not much else distinguishes the ship, likely by design, to keep the ship much like Helix Bane is now, camouflaged. The three of them enter the new ship, and the ship's name is revealed. Fortitude. The name is written below a circular emblem. The emblem design is that of two hands facing palm up, with odd sigils on each palm. A six-pointed star at the top center, and a fractal sword design running down the middle. Various other sigils are dotted around the emblem. In the circular border of the emblem is written, "The domain of the worthy foundation." Below the emblem and the ship's name, there is a cloudy-eyed male wearing formal attire. "You are expected, and you are to follow me to the..." The crew member trails off, turns slowly, and begins to walk with one hand trailing the wall. Three follow behind. A very long walk to a doorway, which cycles open after the crewman says a few words into a terminal. The two gentlemen hesitate for a long moment before finally stepping in and immediately look down towards the floor. Small and big mouth, agape. Helix Bane doesn't hesitate and slips inside the moment the doors open and ensconces herself in a corner, without furnishing to allow for easier camouflage. The room has an important feel about it, most likely the captain's office. There is little in the way of decor or furnishings. In fact, the only things Helix Bane can see in the room are dozens of intricately handcrafted model ships, designs dating back from the old iron homes to state-of-the-art stealth craft. Dominating the room in the center is a cross-section model of the Fortitude itself. Crafted with such intricacy, she can see the replication of this very office and each model within it. What the two gentlemen were, and still are gaping at, is the transparent flooring and what can be seen beyond. A remarkable view of not one, but three shipyards located within the ship itself. The flashes of engineering and precise movements of machinery fill every possible space. Cranes, drones, and humans moving in a chaotic and ceaseless motion of creation. From this vantage point in the office, one could feel like a god looking down upon a city they had created. Helix Bane would describe all of this as a really big ship, with space to build 3 ships. But even still, she is impressed. In the forge she remembers of 10 years ago, the 2 technologies that had advanced the furthest were weapons and ships. If the worthy foundation had a ship that had the capacity to build ships whilst on the move. Who knows how powerful they were? The noise and chaos does not reach the captain's office. In the office, it is peaceful and empty of motion, except for a female examining one of the models. She has an alarming amount of blonde hair that she drapes around her neck like a scarf. Besides that, Helix Bane only notices that she is not wearing formal attire, instead donning an elaborate and frilly pink dress. Greetings and salutations to both of you. Take a seat. She trills. There are no seats, so the two gentlemen remain where they are. But they do both turn their attention to the source of the voice, only just noticing there was another occupant. My name's Dashing, and I'm under orders to detonate the spire. Boom! A small and big mouth hang agape. The two gentlemen eventually blurt out simultaneously. Is that by order of the domain of the Worthy Foundation? Why? Oh, so curious. The Foundation... well, they ran into some trouble. At this, plain gentleman shuffles uneasily on his feet before asking, what sort of trouble? Dashing blushes before responding, I'll confess, I was the trouble. Dashing manages to look suitably ashamed at her transgressions. Now the Fortitude is under new management. Dashing points a delicate finger at herself. I have reviewed your correspondence with my predecessor, and I am delighted to say that I am willing to honor that agreement. Yay! She clasps her hands together and flicks up her foot with joy as she delivers this information. She continues, you two go back and find anyone that remains alive on the research vessel, bring them aboard my ship, the Fortitude. She pauses, delicate finger moving to her lip and striking a thoughtful pose. Preferably before we detonate the spire. Then we can take both of you and any survivors away from this place, and you can go about clearing your name, which you certainly couldn't do stuck here, or blowing up for that matter. Big Mouth asks a pertinent question. How long? Delicate finger still on lip, thoughtful pose still struck. Dashing replies, if my calculations are correct, you have until we detonate the spire. As much as Helix Bane would like to stick around, she can feel the strain of holding the shift beginning to kick in. Adding to that this whimsical Dashing could decide to blow up the spire while eating dinner tonight. The next time the door cycles open, Helix Bane slips out, retraces her steps, and returns to the research vessel. There she drops her camouflage. While walking through the familiar corridors, she looks down at her black iron ring. She clenches her fist and swears her next vow to break the unspoken rule. Hunt down the survivors on the research vessel.